show here is a collaboration with Adam Fisher. This was called the Reconfigurable House. Now, we'd basically done a pamphlet called Low-Tech Sensors and Actuators for Artists and Architects. This was probably in, I don't know, like 2004, 2005, which is a kind of PDF, downloadable PDF instruction manual for how to hack, take apart toys and gadgets and take out their sensors and plug cats into penguins and get walkie-talkies that trigger flashlights and all these kinds of things. The purpose of the manual really was to say, look, it's really easy to make these input and output devices, so now you can really get going building some really interesting systems out of them, right? Now that it's easy to build stuff going in and stuff going out, now you can spend more time building things that are not just linear triggers. It didn't quite work out that way, because I think people just like to build linear triggers. They like to build things where you press a button and something lights up. It's got that kind of instant gratification, and I don't begrudge them that kind of approach. But having said that, since my point in writing that PDF was to say, let's really try and understand better what interaction actually is, I decided that I would demonstrate it, like take the PDF manual and say, here's what I would have done with it. Because I do make a distinction between what I call reactive and interactive. I don't like to use the word interactive too much because it actually means almost nothing anymore. But I still make that distinction. And the way I make that distinction is I say that something that is interactive is something that changes the way it reacts. By that I mean that the transfer function for computing an output on the basis of an input, that transfer function itself changes. So if you flick a switch and the light goes on, then that's reactive to my mind. But if you flick a switch and sometimes the light goes on and sometimes it doesn't, because there is something that's actually changing the transfer function from switch to light, that's what I would call interactive. Whether that thing that's altering the transfer function is something to do with time, or whether it's got something to do with another dial where it's sort of setting a threshold or what have you, that's a different question altogether. But what I'm really looking for is how to produce systems in which you're able to change the way something responds to you. And so Reconfigurable House was really about that. It was saying, okay, we've got thousands of sensors and actuators, all hacked together from toys and gadgets, and we're going to make basically your smart home, because it's wired up with loads of sensors and actuators, of course, so you can call it smart normally. But we're actually not going to design the system at all that connects inputs to outputs. What we did instead is we made this kind of touch screen where people could start to draw the system. So connecting the MP3 player to the lilies would turn it into a kind of disco system where the lights would pulse in time to the music that they plugged in. If you plugged in they're these sort of like dangling LED light sensing kind of toys in the doorway, if you plug those into the penguins and into the mobile phone, then you could create an alarm system, because you'd have the penguins squawking when somebody came in the door and then triggering an SMS message. The point being that it's the occupants of the house that determine the way it responds to them. Because I think part of the problem in so-called smart homes, in this sort of, this idea of the seamless, wonderful, high-tech home of the future, is that actually the way it's looking now, we're not going to be able to do any DIY on it, right? It's not the kind of thing that we're going to be able to get in and design what it does ourselves as occupants of those houses. So with this,
don't be so sure about that.
Okay, you got.
Come back to that.
I'd like to think that if it's not like that, then it's only because we are pushing for that.
Here. Let's come back to that.
Yeah, let's come back to that. And so that's really what Reconfigurable House was about.